Hey everyone, Leanne here from Kingdom Bloggers. So today we're going to talk about your blog layout, more specifically, ensuring that your website is laid out in a way that is both user friendly, that it's good for your readers to be able to get around and find what they're looking for, and also for the web crawlers, the Google crawlers, to ensure that your site is up to par, so to speak, so that it is more likely to show up in search results. So I'm going to give you 10 things today, and some of the things I talk about, there will also be a follow-on tutorial specifically about that particular item. And those will eventually be listed down in the notes for this video. Otherwise, if you just hop over to the website or search around here on my YouTube channel, you'll be able to find those topics. All right. So the most important thing that you have to understand before we dive into any of this is that Google prioritizes a mobile-friendly site. So it's very important as you begin building out your site. Of course, you're doing it here on a computer, but the majority of your readers are going to be visiting your site from a mobile device, a cell phone, a smartphone, or maybe even a tablet. And you probably already know that the way it looks on the big screen is not how it looks on the small screen. So as you proceed forward with this, and we are going to talk a little more in detail about mobile friendliness later on, but always everything that you do when you are creating your site, when you are putting something new, always look at it on your phone as a regular viewer, not logged in to your admin dashboard. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to talk about is your home page. This is the page that if someone Googles your blog's name, it comes up in the search results, and it should be laid out in a way that is user friendly. It's kind of a landing page. In other words, kind of a term I like to use, that it's a convertible page. Everything that you put on it, every image, every whatever, should be with the intent to lead your reader somewhere. Now, I am going to create a separate video tutorial all about home pages, but I just want to give you a quick example of the two types of pages that you may see. So let's hop over here to my screen. All right. So you may have heard the term static homepage. So this is a static homepage, right? I've literally built it out. There's different sections on it. Here's another static homepage that maybe is more kind of what you've seen, where it has these big banners at the very top, and then maybe a sign up block, some stuff here, other links. And it's just like, I mean, there's just a little of everything. It's static because, with the exception of any new blog feed that might be at the bottom of it, everything is this is it. It doesn't change when you publish a new post. This is what we call a blog roll. And so I do have a sidebar. We'll talk about sidebars in a minute. But this type of homepage, the newest blog post that you publish will show up at the top, and then it's just a feed of the subsequent ones after that. So the previous ones in order, right? For most of you just building your site, this is all you need. There's no use in spending all the time and energy to create something like this if you don't really have any content yet. This design is meant a little later on, once you've gotten a lot of content in your categories, you're starting to build your email list, you actually have something to direct people to. So I like to call your static page a directional page. So for most of you, it's just going to be the blog feed. Very simple, very clean. Okay, so that's all I'm going to talk about with the static versus blog roll today, because I am going to do another video more in depth on this topic. All right, so the next thing is going to be pop-ups, right? You notice you didn't see any, hey, join my email list. You didn't see any pop-ups on my site. Number one, I'm this site here. This is one of my sites. I'm not building an email list on this. Now on the Kingdom Blogger site, I do collect emails, but it's only with my blogging content, which is about just a hair of a fraction of the traffic. And so that's why you don't see them on mine. However, let me unshare here. For those of you just getting started, literally you're just building your blog, we've already talked ixnay on the email A, right? You should not be building an email list, collecting emails, getting subscribers to subscribe, all of that, if you were just getting started. Building an effective, engaged email list takes a solid plan and a lot of time. And if you're just building your list, you really don't even have any content or anything to share with them. So save the energy and time that you'd be putting into that and just put it into building your blog. But for those of you who are building your email list and are collecting subscribers and all of that, that pop up in your face when you literally the page hasn't even finished loading and it's like, boom, sign up for my email list. It's very annoying, right? It's very not user friendly. And I would encourage you to go look at your conversions for that particular sign up form. Most likely you have different forms throughout your site, so the pop up is just one of them. But I would gather that it's probably near zero conversion. That means nobody's signing up. And it's probably deterring people from ever actually staying on your site. It's like that person when you walk into the store to shop and you're just want to look around, that salesperson's like right in your face, like, hey, do you want to buy some? What can I do for you? And you're just like, could you please just like go away so I can shop? So the pop-up is annoying and it's intrusive. And it's not what you want to show when someone first arrives here. So, two things about pop-ups. They should never be on a mobile device. Google can actually penalize you for having those pop-ups because it's not user-friendly. Um, it typically will take up the whole screen, and trying to get your fat finger to click that X, sometimes, depending on the form, is almost impossible. And so on your settings for the pop-up form, set it to desktop only. Okay. I'm not going to go through those because each email, ConvertKit, MailerLite, whatever, it's a different way to do that, but every one of them has that ability. Mobile should be off, only on desktop. Now, on desktop, there are some settings you want to adjust. Number one, when does it pop up? Not immediately. I think there's several options. There's like once they scroll a bit or they spend a certain amount of time on the page. I wouldn't even use those. Do the exit intent, and that should be a little tick box. And what that does is when the browser senses them moving their cursor up to the X in the top right corner, when it senses that, that's when it pops up. And then you could have a cute little like, hey, before you go, to make it more like, by the way, this is what you get when you follow and subscribe. I'm not going to go into that, but it's an exit intent. It's like right before they leave to say, hey, are you sure you don't want to join my email list? The second setting on that timing, so the first is exit intent, then how often does it show up? I cannot tell you how annoying it is when I finally get rid of it. I get rid of it and then I go and I'm reading, and I click through to another blog post and there it is again, right? That's just that annoying salesperson. Okay. So you can adjust the setting to come up, say 15 days. Don't show it again for 15 days, or don't show it again for 30 days. Right. So if they're coming back to your site, like today, they're clicking around, it won't keep coming up. If they come back tomorrow, it won't come up. But maybe they go a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. Then it will come up again upon exit intent. And then from there, that same kind of time period, then it's no longer annoying. It's like, okay, they've had time to kind of see what I offer. And oh, here's a reminder. Yeah, I think I do want to join my email list. So user friendliness is the game here. But also, like I said, for mobile viewing, Google does not like those things that impede the mobile experience. All right. Number 3, the sidebar. So as I mentioned at the beginning, mobile is the primary way people view your site, probably 60% or higher, depending on your niche and what you offer. On a mobile device, the sidebar does not show up until you scroll all the way to the bottom of whatever blog feed, however many posts you have on your homepage. And then the sidebar begins. Well, let's be honest, nobody does that. Nobody scrolls to the bottom of the homepage. So that being said, all the stuff that you put in your sidebar is you're just adding stuff. That stuff has to load. And so that could impact your site, page load, site speed, all of that. But also it just makes a big old mess over there. Now, for desktop viewers, keep it simple. People looking at your thing on desktop, again, if they found you by way of a blog post, they are reading that blog post. Now they get to the end of it, provided that you've used internal linking correctly, linking to other relevant posts and things like that. And then you may have an end of post related post widget or whatever. That sidebar is not what they came here for. And so filling it with all kinds of banners and just stuff, right? It's pointless. It there's if you there's actually tools you can use to see what people are clicking on. Um, like hotspot, and there's just different things you can use. You'll see that really nobody's clicking on that stuff. So if you are going to have a sidebar, keep it simple. Have a search, like a little search block. Maybe you're like faced with a quick about you, right? If you're trying to build rapport with the desktop viewers. And then maybe a recent post widget so they get a side view of, oh, here's some of the last posts she's published or he's published. Everything else, maybe a social follow, but honestly, we'll talk about social follow a little later down. You can put it there, but there's other places you could put it also. So if you are going to use a sidebar, just keep it simple, keep it to a minimum, only the important things. Search bar, maybe social follow, your about, your face with a link to your start page, whatever, and then a recent post widget. Also, if you are an Amazon affiliate, then you are required to have that little Amazon affiliate blurb. You could put that in a text widget on the sidebar to suffice your requirement for having it on every page. Otherwise, don't put anything else there because it can eventually look messy, but you want everything to be clean and you want less stuff to have to load. Okay, number 4, your navigation menu. So I'm actually going to hop over here and show you some examples. Your navigation menu is the directional signs. Like when you go to a new city or you go to an airport or a mall, like a super mall, you look for signs like what's here and where is it, right? That is your navigation menu. On a desktop, it's going to be spread out with the actual words. On a mobile device, it's going to be condensed into the 3 lines. And we'll talk more about navigation menus later in another video. But it should be the words that you use on it need to be enticing. Don't ever put the word blog in your nav menu because nobody knows what a blog is except bloggers. Okay, let's just be honest about that. If you have a home blog roll feed like this, then all you need here are literally the names of the categories of content that's to be found. So when someone sees it, they're like, well, what else does it? So if you're on a blog post, right, you're in this post, that's how you got to the site and you're reading it. Well, what else? Okay, I read this prayer. What else does this person have to offer? Um, you can see on Teresa's here, she has a start here, and we'll talk about start here in just a minute. She has Bible study, prayer, spiritual growth, and a link to her shop. Okay. Kingdom, same thing. Very clean. Here's also one thing. It should be clean and organized, right? So this is why I always say start with like 3 categories. Don't be creating like a link for every single thing because then it just becomes busy and messy. And it messiness in kind of instills like a chaos kind of mentality. And people see too many things. It's too many options and they're likely not to click, right? Keep it very clean, very to the point of the things that are on the site. Now, my site there's over 500 posts on this site. So I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I have subcategories into them and so forth. But keep your words shorter, like Bible study resources. These are kind of longer, but for the most part, keep them simple because obviously the more words in the category name, the more space it's going to take. And that's when eventually, if you add more categories or subcategories, you'll make them drop downs under the different categories themselves. But your navigation menu, so there's 2 types of links people tend to put. There's the links to the categories. That's what you want people to get to. And then there's like the admin links. Now, you don't really see those on mine. She has a start here. Sometimes you may see where it'll say home, and then the drop down under that might say about, contact, legal, privacy, all of that. Your legal pages, your privacy policies, and all those, put those down in the 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 footer, right? They need to be there, but it's not where you're trying to drive traffic. This is prime real estate that people see as soon as they open the page. And these should be the things that you want people to get to, those conversions. Now, obviously, she has her shop here. Don't just put it to stuff that's all about you and making sales. This should lead to your content so they know what's on your site. Okay, I mentioned social follow. So again, whether you're on mobile or desktop, that social follow button, so them to follow you on social media, should be right there. Like on a mobile device, everything's right there in that little block. Having it on the sidebar only, mobile viewers will not see your social follow unless they go all the way to the bottom, which we established they generally don't. So having your social follow buttons right here, but also that search block, that little search thing. You can see I have this one here. Now I'm not on social media for this site, but I do have my search bar. And then I have the search here and my social media here. With social media, only put the buttons for platforms you actually are active on. Like many of us, when we first got our blogs, we went and got a domain or a handle for every platform so that we would have it, but we never actually used it. If you're not actively on Twitter, like you may have Twitter, but if you're not active there, don't put a button for them to follow you. There's nothing worse than following someone. Like if Twitter was my favorite place to hang out, which it's not, but if it was, and I'm like, oh, I'd like to follow you there, but then you're not there, like, okay, right? So wherever you are, put those. If you do Pinterest and you share Pinterest, put Pinterest, although that's not social media. If you have a YouTube channel and you regularly add videos, put that. If you have a Facebook page that you actively share content to, or if you have a Facebook group that you are actively promoting, you could link it to that. Instagram, same thing. But do not put links for places you are not at. Okay, moving on. Number 6, the About page. Now, I do have an entirely separate video. I will link that one down below about pages. And I don't like about pages. About pages make it about you, and really nobody cares, right? They're here to see what the site is about and what you have to offer. And so also there's a psychology in the word about. Let me go back to share here. Instead of calling it about, call it start here. Because having the word start here versus having the word about, more people are going to click the word start here because it's like, why do they want me to start here? If it just said about, there's like, whatever, right? So again, I have a whole separate video, and that will be linked below about start here pages. So be sure to check that one out. The next one is our legal pages. So if you have a website, even if you're not monetizing or collecting emails or any of that stuff, by law, you have to have a privacy policy. Now, there's lots of free privacy policy generators out there, but this is a legal document, and I would encourage you not to use the free ones because they may not have all the things in it to legally cover you in the event of whatever. Your privacy gives the potential readers information about how you store cookies, how you collect data. Even if you don't think you're collecting data, by virtue of you being online, using a hosting service, using plugins, having email, those things are collecting data. So by association, you're collecting data. And as such, you have a responsibility to protect that data. And so there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. I do have, and I will link that one below as well, information on where I buy my privacy policy and legal pages and all that. The privacy policy is required. The other ones are more recommended just to kind of cover you in the event of whatever terms of use. You also do have to have an affiliate disclosure if you are doing affiliate marketing. Okay. And so again, I do have a tutorial for that. It will be linked below as well. Okay. So moving on. Number 8, font size. So I don't know why most themes have not updated to this yet. Some have, but not all. But your font size is actually very important because, again, most people are looking on it from here. So if your font, I'm not even going to try to find a site because that has smaller font, because anyone who's followed me knows to do this. But the default font tends to be around 14, which is very small when reading it on a desktop for sure, but especially looking at it from a mobile device. And so you may actually get warnings or notifications from Google Search Console, that the font is too low for mobile viewing. And so the easiest way to fix that is immediately just go into your font settings for your theme and change your um, paragraph font. It may be called something different in different themes, but it's basically this font here, the paragraph. Change it to 20, 20. That makes it big enough that it is considered user friendly. That's kind of the Google standard now is 20. Like I said, some themes are catching on. This a couple of years ago is when all this web core vital stuff came out. But that is one of the biggest things to help create a better user experience. Also, your navigation menu, depending on your theme, there's ways to edit that. You want it to be large enough that it can be read, mine or big. I used to have a restored 316 before they moved to Cadence. It was the Genesis platform, and it was just so tiny I could barely see it. And so they helped me with the coding for it. Well, most themes now, if you're on Cadence or Astra Pro, you just go right into your customizer, into the global settings for font, find the paragraph font, and edit the font size to 2020. Okay, now we'll talk more about mobile responsiveness. So, like I said, Google prioritizes mobile first viewing. So, your desktop could look great, like this view right here, but when a mobile version of your site comes up, Google grades it much harder and much stricter. And so there are a lot of things to go into it. If you have an older theme, so for those of you who've been blogging for a while, maybe you bought a theme like 5, 6 years ago. It's kind of like computers. If you bought a computer 2 years ago, it's way outdated, right? Well, older themes were very heavily coded and did not optimize very well for the mobile view. There are really great themes such as Astra Pro. I use Astra Pro on all of my sites. Or Cadence is another really great one that are built for mobile usage. And so it is very easy to customize a desktop look view and then click over and make your mobile view look entirely different so it optimizes correctly. So I'm not going to go into details on how all that's done here, but look at the documentation and make sure everything about your homepage, your blog pages themselves, when you put a new form in, like say a pop-up for desktop, or maybe you add, a form midway down on a blog post or something, anything you add to your site, once you hit publish, pick up your phone, go to that page and look at it, right? Because you want to make sure that it's presenting in a way that is user friendly and is not causing problems for your site. And also, if it does start causing problems, you'll get a notice from Google Search Console that it is, but why wait? Take care of it now. All right, so finally, I've mentioned Web Core Vitals. So this is a grading standard. It's been about 2 or 3 years now that Google rolled this out. And this is kind of where the world changed for bloggers and all the things bloggers use. So plugins, hosting, everything, all of these things had to bring up their tool to speed so that it works with the new requirements. And the way I explain this is like all the new things in technology for us, right? So if you have a computer that's like 10 or 15 years old, the stuff that was installed with it, like the software, the programs, many of them do not work well. Like newer things that you want to install and use on your site just won't work because the computer itself wasn't built to work with those things. I think recently, like with phones, right? We're at like 5G now. All the 3G phones, like they no longer work. Like our technology has gotten so great that those old platforms just went like MS-DOS, like back in the early, like I'm 50. So when computers first came out, I was like in elementary and that's what we learned on. Nobody uses that anymore because it doesn't work with the advanced things. And so with your plugins, your hosting, your themes, things like that, they work, but they don't meet the criteria that Google needs it to meet for user experience and passing the core vitals. And so it took a year or two for most of those things to make releases and updates and things to bring them up to par, but there's still some that are very much lacking. And so there is a site that you can go to. I'm going to pull it up here. It is called developers.google.com. Just type in Google page speeds and sites. It'll come up and you will run your homepage URL through this. Now, I would also encourage you to run a couple of your blog pages as well, like individual blog posts, because they look different than the homepage. And this thing is going to tell you whether you're passing or not. It's going to give you like literally a number with a little circle that'll be red, orange, or green, and it'll have a number in it, a grade. And you need to be getting yellows and greens in all four of those. Like it's okay if they're not all green, but they should all be yellow and green. If you have reds, that's an issue. Google, like even if you're writing the best SEO content in the planet, Google will still penalize your site if it's failing any of the specific graded sections. Okay. Now, I'm not going to dive into that. I do have another tutorial about that more in detail, but it's very important that your site is passing Web Core Vitals. If it's not, it gives you the information on what's wrong. And there are tools that can help bring it up to speed. And again, those will be mentioned in the other tutorial. So that's it. That's the 10 things. You have your homepage, whether it's static or feed, pop-ups. That is the worst thing you can have, being super annoying to your potential readers. Have a clean sidebar, have a very clean and organized navigation menu. Make sure your social follow buttons are easy to find. About or start here, make it impactful. Watch that tutorial to learn more about that. You must have certain legal pages to keep your blog protected from lawsuits and things like that. Your font size is very important. 20 should be your paragraph across the entire site, should be the font size for that. Mobile responsiveness, priority. Make sure your site is mobile responsive. You may need to change your theme. There may be some things you need to do, but you will be heavily penalized if Google determines it's not mobile responsive. And then finally, your site needs to be passing the Web Core Vitals. That is, it's Google, right? Google says, if you don't pass my test, then I'm not going to let people see your content. That's basically what that means. And so I hope this was helpful. I know it was a lot of information. All the ones that I did mention that have tutorials, I will link those in the show, in the video notes below. But if you have any questions at all, be sure to hop over to the Facebook group, or, you can comment here, but it's easier to get me in the Facebook group and you may learn some extra stuff, and let me know. As always, be sure to like this video, follow us here at Kingdom Bloggers if you're not already, and I will see you guys all later. Have a great week and God bless. Bye-bye.